On this edition of Bay Area Bountiful, we look at transportation options to protect the environment. A unique food distribution trucking company looks for technological solutions to reduce emissions. A San Mateo organization seeks to promote ride-sharing and public transit. A Silicon Valley group imagines a new, less congested future for El Camino Real. And Climate One at the Commonwealth Club discusses carbon offsets. It's all coming up next on Bay Area Bountiful.
Bay Area Bountiful is made possible in part by Rocky the free-range chicken and Rosie the original organic chicken. The Sonoma County Agricultural Preservation and Open Space District, Made Local Magazine, and Sonoma County Go Local. Support also provided by Pepperwood Preserve and through the generous support of the Sonoma County Water Agency. Cultivate, celebrate, connect.
Moving fresh food from one place to another is a sustainability challenge. The more locally sourced an item can be, from farm to purchase, the less fossil fuel we need to move the food to the customer. Veritable Vegetable of San Francisco is taking distance into account, as well as employing technological solutions to minimize carbon emissions.
Veritable Vegetable is an organic produce distribution and logistics company. Since our inception, we had a social mission. What we're about was to create a new type of food system, a sustainable food system. We began to run our own trucks early on. We started to think about the fuel that we were burning in our trucks, the impact of those trucks, and we have kept with that. And we tend to be pretty out in front of a lot of the technologies.
Reducing our emissions allows us to spare the air, make it so that the community isn't breathing our diesel exhaust.
We have 4 small vans, straight trucks, 2-axle tractors with short trailers. We've got hybrid tractors. Our refrigeration units are hybrid refrigeration units. You know, we've got basically the right piece of equipment for any job. Our big tractor trailers with sleepers, 48-foot trailers, you know, they go out of state. The little vehicles run around town, and we've got everything in between.
There's a certain commitment to some of these larger pieces of equipment. It's really trying to understand where things are moving and being prepared to make that switch as perhaps you're coming to re-equip or as you're planning a little bit down the road.
We play a pretty key role in food distribution, and it's not something that's always seen by people. They think about, where's the farm? Know your farmer, know your food. Where does your food come from? Well, it has to get from point A to point B somehow, and that's our role.
I like to emphasize with our customers that we operate some hybrid trucks and that we use a lot of technology in our fleet to reduce the emissions.
Veritable Vegetable works closely with growers to get their product into one main spot, distribution point, and from there, we call it big truck in, little truck out.
It's really great when we have the opportunity to bring customers into our warehouse to tour them, because then we can really point out to them how it efficiently operates, the fact that we divert 99% of our waste away from landfill. People are particularly impressed with that we work really hard to not only fill our trucks outbound to deliver to our customers, but spend a lot of effort figuring out how to then route those trucks back to our warehouse so that they are full. So that means we're being extremely efficient with the fuel that we burn.
Changing our fleet over to diesel particulate traps, selective catalytic reduction, reduces the emissions, reduces the particulate matter to almost zero, makes it cleaner, makes it a safer environment for everybody to live in.
The newest tractors that we have are aerodynamically superior. The newer ones have fewer stuff on the outside to catch air. If you're traveling 1 million or 2 million miles a year, that's a lot of drag. And anytime you have air drag, you're gonna need more fuel to power yourself down the road. So there's simple things like the mirrors are more aerodynamic, the hoods are smoother. That's gonna have an enormous benefit in terms of fuel economy. Trucks are equipped with a tire inflation system, which has air pressure going into the tires so they're kept properly inflated all the time. You know, everything from how the trucks are spec'd to how they're driven to the kinds of transmissions that we have, aerodynamic features, drivers' habits. We just really do our best to make the most of the energy that we're using. Engineers, I know, are doing everything they can to get every last detail tweaked to get just, you know, another 1/10 of a mile better on fuel economy, and it all adds up.
I've been in the transportation industry since the early 70s. Heavy equipment has been my life, and I've always wanted to build a fuel-efficient, clean-running fleet. And Veritable Vegetable has given me that opportunity. When I came to Veritable Vegetable in 2009, they were basically looking for anything to improve, reduce their carbon footprint, and they've been a very progressive organization.
We contract out with a fleet wash service, and they use cleaning products that are, you know, not harsh solvents. They catch the wastewater, and some companies you'll see they have a big boom that goes around. These guys use their big vacuum, and they take it away and dispose of it responsibly.
And hopefully more and more as we participate and spread the word, people understand about what they're doing, what their activities in their businesses, how they affect many fronts, and that we really have to stay aware and never think, okay, we're doing it right, now we can relax. It's always about, okay, got to figure this out.
We've really taken extraordinary effort to have the most fuel-efficient fleet possible. The new tractors, they're easy to drive, you've got great visibility, they're quiet, they're very responsive, they're very, very comfortable. They're a blast. Thanks. They're a lot of fun.
The booming Bay Area economy has led to more cars on our region's already stressed traffic and highway system. The vast majority of commuters are single occupants driving a personal vehicle. An organization in San Mateo County seeks to change this dynamic. Through innovative ride-sharing, public transit, and shuttle programs, commute.org strives to minimize congestion by working directly with commuters and with the companies that employ them.
It's nice to have a booming economy, but with that comes some congestion issues that we are all experiencing. Commute.org is San Mateo County's transportation demand management agency. So we are tasked with reducing single-occupant vehicle travel to, through, or from San Mateo County. It's a big challenge. Do we have any new shuttle updates, anything that's happening this afternoon? We're actually referred to technically as the Peninsula Traffic Congestion Relief Alliance. But we started thinking about it was really more important to go with a name, something like commute.org, which is our website. Encouraging people not to drive alone. And it's become even more important now. There are more people working in San Mateo County and actually in all the surrounding counties as well. So there are more people on the road traveling further distances to get to the jobs that are so important. And it's resulting in a tremendous amount of congestion on the freeways.
Commute.org works in 4 primary areas throughout San Mateo County. It runs a shuttle program providing first and last mile shuttles to and from transit centers. It reaches out to support employers supplying alternative transportation for their own workforces. It encourages partnerships with transportation industry agencies throughout the region. And it incentivizes both the use of third-party van pools and of workers' carpools through direct communication with commuters, who may even make new friends in the process.
Janet watches different shows than I do, so she catches me up this week.
Exactly, and Dancing with the Stars, that's the other one we're watching.
We've asked people to ride transit, and people have flocked to Caltrain. Caltrain's a great partner. It serves 3 counties. Ridership is at all-time high levels, and I think a lot of people have started to shift their work schedule to get on trains that are a little bit less crowded to make sure that they can get their bikes on board for those who ride their bikes and ride Caltrain. We have regularly over 10,000 people a month come visit our website.
Commute.org offers a trip planning tool on their website.
They're looking for transportation information about alternative modes that they might be able to use, our shuttle schedules, as well as all the incentives and programs that we promote through our website.
Commute.org has a tri-transit program offering free transit tickets.
There are a lot of different ways for us to engage commuters. Obviously, Twitter is one of those. But we've also used text alerts in order to be able to get the information out to the commuters who use our shuttle program, and everybody seems to need to have an app. And so, of course, Commute.org now has an app that's provided through our Right Amigos platform on the STAR platform.
On the STAR platform, commuters let Commute.org support, track, and reward them using interactive tools that monitor their transportation. They can find out what impact their commute options are making in terms of CO2 reductions, miles traveled using alternative modes, and money saved. STAR is made available to both commuters and employers.
One of the new programs that we've implemented is called the Guaranteed Ride Home program. And it's a program that encourages people to use commute alternatives, and if they do, if they have an emergency situation, we can help them get home, we can reimburse them for those trips, and that service is available to anyone who works in San Mateo County or goes to college in San Mateo County. Use a commute alternative, log your trips, and you're eligible for the Guaranteed Ride Home program. We try to find as many different ways to motivate people as possible. So sometimes it might be a fun contest where we'll ask people to send in pictures of their favorite commute and their carpool partners. The idea is really to kind of make it fun. Going back into our history, one of the most popular programs that we did was a competition to see who could get to the AT&T ballpark fastest.
The Peninsula Traffic Congestion Relief Alliance would like to congratulate the winners of today's Commuter Challenge. Today's race featured a team of drivers competing against a team of public transportation riders to get to today's
And sure enough, taking public transit was far and away the fastest way to get to the ballpark.
According to Commute.org's Commuter Challenge, this year's contest resulted in a number of promising outcomes. 1,876 commuters participated, traveling a total of 1,604,301 commute miles using alternative modes, for a savings of 379 tons of CO2 emissions. They saved $635,242 in travel expense. Reducing drive-alone rates is another measure of program effectiveness. Commute.org strives to lower the average Bay Area drive-alone rate of 75% every way it can.
Do we have any updates for tonight?
For this afternoon, we only have one shuttle that's not operating as scheduled, but
We have a dedicated staff here, a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds. Some come from the sustainability world, others are transit professionals. They're dedicated to helping the commuters, working with employers, and delivering all the programs that we offer to make the most effect that we possibly can. The transportation issues that we face in the Bay Area are regional issues. So traffic doesn't just start and end inside of the county borders. So working collaboratively with all the other different agencies around the Bay Area is really important. And there's a congestion management agency in every county, and they're tasked with making sure that those counties are doing what they can to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. It's nice to know that there are a lot of public-private partnerships that are now working on the solutions. We're all at the table together working on the problems. And hopefully over time, we make a big dent in what's going on with the traffic around San Mateo County and the region.
The Grand Boulevard Initiative has a vision to revitalize El Camino Real, one of California's most historic roadways. How can this multi-county task force transform El Camino from Daly City to San Jose into a walkable, livable, and sustainable community corridor? The plan involves mixed-use redevelopment, streetscape redesign, and enhanced public transit options.
The Grand Boulevard Initiative is looking at El Camino Real. If you think about it, El Camino is this ribbon that weaves its way through most Silicon Valley cities. And so you can think of it as our region's main street. However, Most of the people who live here aren't proud of El Camino. They don't think of it as a destination. They would never think of taking their friends to see El Camino. We would like our main street to be a better place. Grand Boulevard started more than 10 years ago. It's historic because it brings together 2 counties and multiple organizations. One day, I was talking to my good friend Mike Scanlon, general manager of Samtrans. In the conversation, we said, we should be doing this together. Why don't we create one initiative? And so the Grand Boulevard Task Force.
The transformation and the vision that we've all developed together is one where a significant portion of us would live in a much more sustainable way.
The initiative is a vision that we can transform and revitalize the El Camino corridor from Daly City to San Jose into a walkable, livable, sustainable community.
Over the years, El Camino has developed in a strip development style. There's nothing wrong with that except as they fall into a state of neglect, economically it doesn't work anymore.
We have all 19 cities, both counties, both transit agencies and congestion management agencies, as well as the regional agencies and representatives for environmental perspectives, development perspectives, labor, both health departments in the counties.
The first thing we did was adopt a set of principles that we think should govern all decision-making on El Camino Real. And then we went to every city and asked them if they would also in turn adopt those principles, and all of the cities did in fact adopt the principles.
The Community Leaders Roundtable brings together a number of organizations to talk about El Camino Real's next act, with more homes and jobs and a more multimodal corridor designed around people from Daly City to San Jose.
Multimodal means using different modes, so bicycling, walking, taking a bus, and taking an automobile.
The compelling factor that brought El Camino to our attention is that the corridor is paralleled by the Caltrain and BART systems, and we have 20 rail stations along the corridor.
This is a baby bullet stop, and imagine we'll have more homes and jobs here at Bay Meadows, and so people can easily shop at the mall or take the train down to their job in Silicon Valley.
We have just had a significant development for our region, and that would be the electrification of Caltrain. This has been many long years in coming, but that railroad is now going to be electric. It will take 5-10 years, but it's coming. And when that happens, it means more trains, higher frequencies, more people are going to be riding the train. So this, again, is why El Camino is such a vital artery for our region.
Things like focusing housing and targeting it in appropriate areas, managing parking assets, making the corridor more multimodal, preserving historical assets. And those became the 10 guiding principles.
So we are in my hometown, San Carlos. I grew up here. I learned to drive on the El Camino Real. So I have a soft spot for this corridor. At the historic depot, more homes are slated to go in, which means more people walking, riding their bikes, coming to downtown, just creating a much more lively atmosphere. And I really like that for the future of my hometown.
El Camino Real is also a highly strategic, very significant location for housing. In the Bay Area, we need housing. We also need people to be using transit alternatives as opposed to driving alone in their carbon-emitting vehicle to work every day. If you put the housing next to a bus, next to a train station, next to a BART, then it's logical for people to utilize those options. We call it transit-oriented development.
The future will be more about nodes, a highway that acts as through traffic, but also to traffic, going from city to city. You can almost sense the excitement and the activity level and the buzz that will occur in these little centers.
This is El Camino Real and downtown Menlo Park right here. And this is an example of a people-friendly place. And the Grand Boulevard Initiative is all about creating more people-friendly places from Daly City to San Jose, all the elements that go into creating a great community.
We have worked very closely with ABAG and MTC as they developed Plan Bay Area. We have 29 priority development areas that are part of Plan Bay Area where cities want development to occur in the future.
Let's also not forget that BART is extending into Santa Clara County, ultimately coming through downtown San Jose and then connecting up with Caltrain here on the other end. And so that too represents an amazing development opportunity for the Bay Area.
It's El Camino. There's always going to be a lot of cars, but we imagine a future where we have more people walking and riding their bike.
Hopefully, the long-term vision in tomorrow, people could come from all over the world and be saying, have you been to the Grand Boulevard yet in the Silicon Valley, San Francisco Bay Area? We need to take bold action now that will lead to a higher quality of life for those that come after us.
Throughout the Bay Area, we have other major urban arterials. In the East Bay has them, the North Bay certainly has them, and we think this is a model. Grand Boulevard Initiative is not going to be going away anytime soon. I expect to be working on this the duration of my career.
One way we can produce better environmental outcomes from the effects of transportation on the global environment is through carbon offsets. Our next story is excerpted from a discussion on mindful travel in the age of climate change from our partners at Climate One. Climate One at the Commonwealth Club offers a forum for candid discussion amongst climate scientists, policymakers, activists, and concerned citizens. In this discussion, host Greg Dalton and guests explore carbon offsets for air travel and vehicle transportation.
Jim Sano, paint the picture for us worldwide in terms of there's a growing middle class in the emerging economies. They're starting to travel. Aviation is a big part of a growing part of carbon emissions. A lot of industries have started to reduce or slow the growth of their carbon emissions. So tell us how big a piece travel is of the whole global climate picture.
Okay, approximately in about 80%. Of your travel, your carbon footprint associated with travel is associated with transportation. The other 20% is all the activities you do on the trip. The level of tourism now internationally is about 1.1 billion travelers, and that is projected to grow to about 1.8, 1.9 billion by 2030.
Per year, people, okay.
Per year, per year. So aviation is one of the fastest growing contributors to climate change.
Norbu Tenzing, your homeland is melting, partly because of air travel. How do you feel when you get on an airplane?
Well, you have to get there somehow, right? You go to places like Nepal, Tibet, or the Himalayas, where we have a massive problem with global warming. It's important to go over there, see firsthand what the issues are. And to come back and try and do something about it. As we speak, an initiative was started just by the local Sherpas up in the Everest area, where they were going to bring down 100 tons of garbage this year. Starting with 1,200 pounds, I think, that came off the plane. Yesterday, this is all non-biodegradable stuff. It's important for young people, for example, to go up to the mountains when they hear about climate change, to see firsthand on the ground, the potatoes aren't growing the way they used to. And this is how 7,000 people who depend on the mountains live on every year. When we see the glaciers melting over there, when you see the lakes that are about to burst, they have big ramifications for people who live in our villages who've been living there for centuries. And that goes all the way down to 500 million people, down through India and to Bangladesh. And so it's really important to travel, I think. And how you get there, is also important, taking into consideration how you get there. But to be responsible, to work with people who have a sense of community, people who have a sense of giving back, and which is why I really enjoy what I'm doing, and that's what brings me to my part of the world every year.
So if you don't go there, it's hard for you to understand or care about it. If it's gonna, when you go there, there's a deeper connection.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jim Sano, let's get your thoughts on that. Travel, eco-travel. What can people do to try to lighten their eco imprint, footprint when they travel?
Well, there are a few things that are top of mind. One is the obvious, is take fewer, longer trips, which in this day and age is somewhat challenging to do. But certainly over time, the length of people's holidays has decreased, pretty dramatically.
Because we're working so much, right? Yeah.
Right, that's right, especially Americans. The other thing is pay attention to your routes. Many people don't know that a great majority of your carbon footprint is associated with takeoffs and landings. So while your airfare may be less if you take a direct flight, your footprint will be far less. The other thing is obviously the class of service. If you're in first class or business class, it could be 7 or 9 times the footprint as if you're in economy. And lastly, the other thing is to consider offsetting your footprint by one of the offset providers.
On offsets, Jim Sano, tell us what an offset is and how complicated they are, because that's a very murky world.
Well, it is murky. And very simplistically, it is basically purchasing a credit that, let's say, is associated with forest. And forests obviously absorb carbon dioxide. And obviously, if the forests are burning, they release carbon dioxide. And so there are different types of credits. One that is in Nepal is biogas fuels, for example, alternative fuels. And of course, they vary in quality tremendously, as you well know. But the ones to look for are what's called the gold standard projects.
So that's a certification, like a seal of approval, a good housekeeping seal of approval.
That's
You're looking to do some good to offset the bad of the pollution you put in the air by planting trees or capturing gas or other things.
Right.
Transportation is a necessary part of our daily lives, but with the convenience of personal vehicles, there are consequences. By redesigning our infrastructure around alternative modes of transportation, we can reduce carbon emissions from travel and create more sustainable communities.